What is up, my Lorcana Goons, and welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. You're watching the weekly Monday Meta Watch video where Zach Stone and I join together and we talk about deck lists, cards that are trending, and what we believe you should expect in this upcoming meta this week. Zach Stone, we finally have all the cards on Dreamborn.com so we can actually build the lists and showcase them to their perfection on the website and on the Lorcana Goons channel. So we're going to go over about 8 different deck lists that we did not go over last week, because if you want to check out more lists to prepare for your Fabled format, check out our other videos.
Yeah, this meta is just going nuts right now. So many different deck lists and so many different flavors people are trying and testing out. I personally do think Purple Steel, like you have up here on the screen right now, is going to be a top contender. And this might be a way that you can see some people build their lists. We don't see the new Dumbo, and that's a good important thing that we wanted to mention, is that not a lot of people are going to be able to get their hands on Dumbo right away. So in the case that you're not able to find some Dumbos, if you need them for some weekend tournaments right off the bat, we do recommend trying out a list like what you have here. It is very similar to like an aggro purple steel strategy, but we no longer have the bounce package anymore. We no longer have crabs, and we're not even playing the new Yelena because we're just trying to get onto the board as early as possible. We are utilizing the new Lilo. That character is kind of like the pseudo Cricky. I really believe that that card is going to be a menace into the next meta. But honestly, Kevin, this is a nice list that you've built. I like it a lot. The new Scar with a lot of ally synergy. You have Giant Cobra and Lawrence to be able to draw 4 cards and only discard 2, and that's really good. And you even have Desperate Plan in case you're really trying to find some extra answers.
Yeah, when it comes to Purple Steel, one of my favorite strategies last format was being able to play a Maleficent biding her time on turn 1, quest for 2, then next turn you play like Fire the Cannons plus another 1-drop, and then before you know it, your hand is empty for your dock, right? And one of the best things about that was being able to play Snake or Fox to follow up with that. You bounce back your dock and recycle it, but we don't have the bounce package anymore. I did want to mention you could probably toy around with Madam M Elephant as another way to ensure some extra draw power. Like you said, if you can't find the Scar for any weekend tournaments on opening weekend, there's a lot of tournaments happening for Fabled, like back-to-back opening weekends around the country, and we've just been told by a lot of actually we've been told by official Ravensburger sources that the allocations were basically cut, so you're gonna have to build your decks the first few weeks with less of the newer cards. So you can play Yelena instead of this Lilo, but I do think this Lilo is really good, right? Cricky is one of those cards that was game changing because when your opponent didn't play around it, you would get so much value from your characters, and Quickie would crest for 3, so that's kind of why that card was so good. Lilo only quests for 1. There is an argument play Yelena because she quests for 2, and as you can see, we're kind of going for a little bit more of an aggro package. We have the Cobras, the White Rose, you got Mr. Arrow, he quests for 2, Lawrence quests for 2, etc. But I think what you want to do with this deck is not just quest aggressively, but make sure you have cards that are going to generate you value, right? You got the Cuscos, Diablos, this 3-cost Bucky. He's an Amethyst character, 3 strength, 2 willpower. It's very similar effect to Cusco and Diablo, where when it's banished in a challenge, though, you may draw a card. It has to be banished in a challenge specifically. That's my only issue with this card. So if you fire the cannons as Bucky, you don't draw, unlike you would with Cusco, right? But still pretty cool. I think these are some pressure cards you can play in this meta right now. Sometimes you lose out to Blurple decks playing Amethyst Steel. I think it's one of the harder matchups, right? But we are trying to combat that with the use of our Mr. Smee and our Genie here, the 2 cost and the 3 cost characters that gain evasive on our own turn. This is going to kind of help the opposing either evasive aggro decks. A lot of Emerald Amethyst or Blurple decks are really relying on their evasive strategies to be able to gain lore while you can't challenge them, and in combination with Lilo, these characters can clear Maui Sharks, Elsas, Genies, you know. So I do think that this Lilo alongside characters that gain evasive on your turn are going to be very, very relevant in this coming format. Whether you're playing Purple Steel, Amber Steel, consider playing some of these evasive outs, right? Now I want to continue on by saying that I don't believe there is a best deck of the format yet, at least not right now. I don't think any cards have just flat out stood out to me to where I think like, oh, you need to be playing this card, right? Except maybe Hades Infernal Schemer, because outside of like Maleficent Monstrous Dragon, there's not many other cards that are doing this type of effect right now. On play, you remove a character, and it feels like in combination with the Emerald package, as you can see here by a deck by Neil Adams over here, you have tons of removal tools, probably the most removal tools now in any other color combo. Under the Sea, Stop Chaos in its tracks, You're Welcome, Hades, even pseudo removal tools, Basil, John Silver, Luis, you know what I mean? All these characters that can give your opponent's characters reckless, cause them to do a very poor challenge, or even characters that have on play effects that will bounce a card for a turn, right?
Yeah, and I like this ramp control strategy that this deck list has going on. So it's honestly very exciting to see blue green start to take off early on in the meta. But a lot of the blue green strategies that we've been seeing are like Floodborne based effects or Ink Geyser control. And this is not any of those lists. This is more clean. This is more like stick to your game plan, ramp control, reckless removal. I like it a lot. This is honestly a deck that stood out to me when I first saw it, and it's going to go places. I do like the direction that Blue Green's going right now, and who knows, with future sets to be released, I would love some more support for a deck like this.
Yeah, I think ideally, you probably want to open up turn one Ink Pass. Maybe you play Develop or the one drop Clarable. I don't think it's necessary though, because you're like you said, you're able to ramp and control, right? So you can go Tipo turn two or Sail turn two. Usually you have a lingering Ink with Sail, so then you can play the Clarable there if you really want to, because you can set up a Kita to a Donald Duck, and if you don't shift Clarabelle, it doesn't matter because that Donald Duck is going to take you from 5 to 7 ink anyways. So really the game plan is not even like dump your hand, shift Clarabelle. It's just more so ramp into your big bodies because you have so many good top decks. Visions of the Future is a crazy top deck alongside Develop Your Brain, because no matter what game state you're in, you can look for the card you need. Sometimes you might need John Silver at the end of the game to stop your opponent's 2 Lore Questers from sealing the deal, right? And John Silver's a power card. I'm so glad this card got reprinted because everybody's been on their menace aggro energy lately. You know what I mean? I think everybody wants to be a villain at the beginning of this set. Everyone's just playing aggro. But this John Silver just completely combats aggro and this Rapunzel actually. So you can actually curve out from Rapunzel into John Silver, and you probably shut down the aggro deck. So if you don't know what these cards do, both of them have similar effects. Rapunzel's an invasive character, 5 cost inkable, 2/5 body, quest for 2. Whenever she quests though, you can choose an opposing character and they can't quest during their next turn. Not necessarily giving them reckless, but they can't quest, right? It's kind of like Heffalumps and Woozles with a body. And in this meta right now with Daisies, Mr. Arrows, Tianas running around, this is super relevant. And then John Silver, play John Silver on turn 6. You give somebody reckless, they still can't quest. And they might even have to swing into something big body like your Kita or your Clarabelle or your Basil.
And next up, we have an Amber Ruby deck from the one and only Wonderful. Shout outs to you, Matt. Honestly, bringing us the Amber Ruby goo every time there's a new set, new rotation. Anytime there's a change in the meta, you're going to adapt to it because that's what you've been doing since the beginning of the Mufasa days. But look at this. No Mufasa, and we're still sticking to it. And I do love the choices that you made with the Vanellope and the Goofy. You have plenty of evasive answers, and I love that. And you don't have like the Mother Gothel synergy anymore with the Rapunzel to draw a bunch of cards, but you still have Mulan. And I think you can get away with a lot of synergy with the Minnie Mouse. That character is super strong in this color combination. A 0/8 bodyguard that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until you finally deal with it is crazy. And there's no more brawl anymore. And no one's playing the 3-drop Sisu. So I think it gets to stay on the board for as long as it's there. Honestly, Kevin, do you like Amber Rubies right now? Do you want to play it in going into this meta right away?
I haven't thought about trying it outside of an aggro list. I've tried like an aggro Amber Ruby deck list that is kind of similar to Wonderful's list, more characters. Wonderful goes more into the late game though. He's playing the Surfer Stitch, Mulan, Maui Shark, Goofy, Queen of Hearts. Like none of my characters went past 4 ink, right? But that's because I thought it was a lot better to just go Daisy turn 1 and then turn 3 Tiana into turn 4 Minnie Mouse, right? But you could still do that combo. You can still go turn 3 Tiana, turn 4 Minnie Mouse, but then set up more for a late game strategy, which I think might be the correct way to play, because I noticed that I was just running out of resources really easily when I was playing it, and I also noticed that I kept on losing to Under the Sea. Three copies of Lumiere. He's the 2-cost thinkable, 2 strength, 2 willpower character that says your other characters gain +1 strength. So if you have Lumiere on board and you have Mulan, Huey, even some of these other 2 strength characters, your other Mulan, right, they will no longer be in the range for Under the Sea. And if you have double Lumiere, Tiana's going to be protected, Julieta, etc., etc. So I do think this this card does have a lot of impact in this current meta. I've been trying it in other decks too, and kind of like how we were talking about earlier, being able to pump your characters up is a form of removal that your opponent may not be expecting every time. A lot of times people quest with their 1 willpower characters, or even their two willpower characters, because they see that all you have on board is a Tiana or a Julieta or something, and all of a sudden you're going to be able to clear their Cuscos and their two willpower bodies with your other characters too. So that's actually pretty cool. Another way to bump up strength is going to be this evasive Moana. You do have a lot of evasive outs in this deck, Zach. I think that's really important in this meta. But Lumiere combo might not be the only way you can play Ruby Amber. Check out this Ruby Amber Racer deck by none other than DLC champion Frank Karsten, who won the first DLC over there in Europe a couple years back, and he's a pro player. I love his deck lists. I love reading his TCG player articles. That's where I found this deck list actually, and the theory behind this deck is pretty cool. You're not playing any of the racer locations because you're not really trying to burst some combos off. There's no need to flood your deck with uninkables when instead you can play more of a control style almost. It seems kind of more like almost like a beatdown style is what it feels like sometimes, because you're using your little bodies to either quest for two, like your 2-cost Taftia Mount Fudge over here, or you're using them as extra threats because we have a 4-cost uninkable King Candy that says whenever one of your other racers characters is banished, each opponent chooses and banishes one of their own characters. Very similar to Beat King Undisputed with a body, right? So you're able to do some pretty cool plays where if your opponent is not respecting your racers, they're going to turn their card sideways. You can play a King Candy. You can trade in your racer goons here, like the Vanellope Von Sweets or maybe the Taftia Fudge. And when they get banished, you start making your opponent banish their own characters extra, right?
Yeah, there is a lot to say, but I do want to mention that the mathematician himself is trying to solve the equation of the meta with a deck like this. I honestly love the direction it's going. You did bring up that King Candy that's like removal, but I do want to talk about a couple cards. There is the Scar, that's the Set Champ promo as well. This is a card that is like a walking teeth and ambitions, but I do want to bring it up that it allows you to trigger that King Candy yourself because it just cares about the character being banished, not how, not who does it, just cares about having another racer banished, and being able to do it yourself means you can dictate when that effect goes off. I know there's some effects that are pretty powerful, but they have like a little bit of a boundary where if your opponent doesn't play into it, they don't get any value. And I do like that you can choose when to get that value with cards like that and Candy Drift, because at the end of the turn, that character that you chose with Candy Drift will be banished.
Ooh,
And
that's cool. I didn't know.
it's
I didn't even think about that.
yeah, it's something to really think about too, because I really think that the racer strategy is something to work on and exploit. But you need cards like that. I know there's Glimmer v Glimmer. That's also another card that can work in that kind of same way, and you get extra value with that King Candy in play as well. But overall, Frank, this is an awesome deck list. Shout outs to you for bringing the community what they need.
Yeah, it kind of seems like the strategy still for red yellow though is going to be to play a lot of characters and not many actions. But I have been seeing people kind of toy around with this idea of using Ruby Amber as like a singer deck, because we have a lot of the singers now. Powerline, Max Goof, you have Vanessa, stuff like that. A lot of singers are in this color pool too. So if you guys have any deck lists that you think we're sleeping on, maybe like a singer Ruby Amber deck, please drop it in our Discord. Join the link in the description below, because we are getting some of these deck lists from our Discord, and we stream during the week and we use the deck lists from our Discord. And while I'm at it, like, comment, and subscribe too, because it does support the channel. Here we have a green purple deck by Boba Fett. This is a more of a aggro green purple list. I did share a green purple list last week with Zach. This is more of a refined version. I like this list a little bit more, and it's playing Dumbo. I know a lot of people want Dumbo to be the card. They want it to be the goo, right? And I've just been seeing a lot of people play it in Blurple, but I think it might be a little better in Emerald Amethyst. I feel like I like the evasive characters just a little bit more. You have a 1-cost Pegasus, the 2-cost Diablo that has Challenger. You even have Gogo Tamago, which is just a character that'll let you burst lore with aggro decks, but also has evasive, So I feel like some of the curves you can set up with the Gogo, Diablo, Pegasus line make the Dumbo just a little bit better, because you can go wide with your evasives instead of having to play like the heftier ones that I see people playing, like the Amethyst Steel or like the Blurple decks, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of disruption, and I think it's really important to mention that the emerald class color is starting to be more like a stun type of color. Like you can't quest, your characters have reckless. If I challenge something and I have to either discard or at mercy of returning a character to my hand with the Emerald Chromacon, it's a stun deck, right?
Yeah.
And it has a lot of other tools attached to it, like wrong lever and evasive packages. But it's honestly a nice, well, like curved out list has a lot of one drops, but it doesn't go higher than 5, which I really like a lot. It's a high 5 deck. Elsa's just probably the best card going into the set. I can only imagine how people must feel when the genies turn sideways and the Elsa has 4 strength now, and it's just being able to just get rid of anything you want.
Yeah.
Also, do want to mention that in combination with Lewis, that alligator, he can have 6 strength and just be a walking menace to anything. Like even a Maui shark will just be at risk of even losing its own character. Or you deal 4 damage to the Maui shark and just gain 4 lore off Gogo Tamago in the following turn. So many ways for you to set up lethal with this kind of list that I love the direction green purple is going to be going to the next meta.
Yeah, this list is playing 4 copies of Genie, Wish Fulfilled, and 4 copies
Of
of
the
the
lamp.
new Genie of the Lamp. So this is a new card from set 9. Zach, we were just talking about it. I'm going to read the effect real quick. While this character is exerted, your other characters gain +2 strength. Actually pretty intense, right? Because if this character is exerted, your Rafiki will swing for 5. Your Diablo will also swing for 5, which is kind of wild. And then you have this in combination with Madam Mim, the Skater Mim over here, Tiny Adversary. And all of a sudden, your 1 strength, 2 strength characters, they're swinging for 5 to 6 strength. And that's going to clear a lot of problematic cards in the meta. I know there's a lot of Ruby Steel enthusiasts out there, and a lot of Mushu enthusiasts, actually. So here's a Ruby Steel list by none other than B. DeCandio, if you're not familiar with him. Former Lorcana Pro and now one of the game developers, I believe, for Ravensburger. Pretty cool. He always posts low-key deck lists on Dreamborn, and I like to scout them out because sometimes he be cooking. This guy's a good player. And this list is how I think I would try Ruby Steel because I really want to take advantage of this legendary Tinkerbell. This is a 2-cost Tinkerbell with 1 strength, 1 willpower, but has evasive. And whenever you play a character with 5 strength or more, you can exert that character to gain 2 extra lore for free, right? And in combination with this and Lumiere, that means all you really have to do is have a 4 strength character like your Mickey Mouse Pirate Captain, your Mushu, or maybe you can even shift Tinkerbell and still get some use off your evasive character. There's also the 2-cost Coachman here. He is a Ruby Steel Dual Ink character that says while you have 2 or more characters of yours that are exerted, this character gains +2 strength and evasive. Just flat out gains evasive. So this is a pretty cool 2-cost character that could potentially be a 2/4/2 with evasive on your turn if you have enough cards to go wide with.
Yeah, there's also the Mushu that I want to talk about. That's a 3-cost 2/3 that you can exert and give a chosen character rush that turn, which allows you to have some pretty interesting plays with the Mulan and the Tinkerbell Giant Fairy. Maybe just to have something that they don't see coming at
Yeah.
you right away.
I like that.
Yeah, I do like that a lot too. But honestly, I forgot that the new Mickey Mouse was named Brave Little Prince. I thought he named it Brave Little Pirates, and wasn't there just yet. Almost. But honestly, the Mickey Mouse package with the 1 drop into the shift packages with the Prince and the Pirate Captain allows for a lot of synergy, but we don't see light diffuse in a deck like this. I'm curious if there's a reason why. I think that's probably the card I'm thinking about the most when I think about Ruby Steel right now. And it's just probably the most solid removal tool that exists currently. And yeah, if I were to build something with Ruby Steel, I would consider 2, maybe even 3 copies of Light Diffuse. It does seem like that's a card I would want in a deck like this. But honestly, maybe he's onto something. Maybe he knows something we don't know.
Light the Fuse, that's the card that gives all your characters the ability to deal 1 damage to a character, right?
No, it's basically strength for every exerted character you have. It's a
Oh.
1-cost action.
Oh, yes. Okay. It's a 1-cost unequal action, and you deal damage to a character based off of how many exerted characters you have. Okay. That's okay.
Yes.
So extra strength. Oh, but it's a dual ink, so you can only play it in
Mm-hmm.
Ruby Steel. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, that's pretty cool. And what's really fun about that is that you have the ability with this Mushu to give your characters rush, right? So you'll have extra exerted characters. I also really liked that legendary Scar in a deck like this because Mushu's an ally and you can give that Scar rush. So you can trigger his ability the turn he's played because that Scar needs to be exerted in order to trigger his draw ability, right? So there's a world where you can play the Mushu, curve into the Scar has rush, you swing into something. Now the turn you played Scar, he's exerted, you can trigger that ability there too. And last, I want to mention this Mulan charging ahead. I like this card a lot, Zach Stone. And you say like the Fuse, I say this card is one of the best cards for this color combo. It's a 4-cost uninkable that has 3 strength, 3 willpower. She has an ability that She has multiple abilities. Reckless, another ability that says during your turn, this character gains evasive, and then this character can challenge readied characters. So Mushu into this Mulan sounds broken in my opinion. You can challenge readied characters immediately and an evasive character. That's pretty good. And this will kill Dumbo. This can destroy Dumbo. This can banish Dumbo in a challenge before that Dumbo gets to turn sideways. I like this. I like this. I like where Beta Canyo's been going with his deck building. And if you guys want to check out these decks, they're all going to be in the description down below.
And you thought Green Steel was out because there's no Prince John and Diablo. Well, you thought wrong. We have another Green Steel tempo list built here, and I'm going to go ahead and say it right off the bat. People are sleeping on this color combination. There's so many things to talk about as well, with not including Ursula Deceiver and Pete Games Referee in Green Steel. It sounds crazy to believe, but those cards just aren't it right now. There was probably a time when those cards will see more play, but right now, without any board wipes to deal with or any early songs that Amber Steel might have to play, I think you can really safely accept that you can just play something better on those turns. Because without their static abilities, they're just 1/3s and 3/3s. And you can do a lot more with what we have available in the card pool. Lawrence is still around, and the new Lilo is back in this list. And honestly, I am a fan. The Alien Troublemaker, I've been saying from the very beginning, is going to dictate and change the way a lot of steel decks build their lists. And we're seeing Genie just become a very popular 3-cost character, being a 3/4 that has evasive on your turn, just dealing with whatever's left. I know it doesn't really get rid of the wish fulfilled genies, but you can put 3 damage on it and deal the last one with the Seven Dwarves Mine. People are forgetting that that card's still in the meta. It's a set 5 card, so get ready to see a lot of Docs and Happies go into the mine again.
Doc and Happy going into the mine is probably gonna cause a lot of people to crash out. I'll be real with you. I'm already seeing people talk online about how strong Doc is this format, especially in a format where we have no friends on the other side. We don't have cards like Merlin or Rabbit to just keep netting you value for free. Doc being one of the most consistent draw packages you can play in like any steel color combo, and Door's Mine also one of the few cards right now that can deal 2 damage to any character. It's inkable. The only other cards that get to do that right now that I can think off the top of my head are like Fire the Cannons, and that's an uninkable 1-cost character. Door's Mine can do that in addition to netting you a lore every single turn, or possibly only dealing 1 damage. But point is, you're still able to do that with an inkable card, and it's really strong. I don't think you should sleep on the Door's Mine. I think cards that gain evasive on your own turn, like Happy and Genie over here, are very strong, like you were just talking about, Zach, because you're able to finish them off with the Strength of a Raging Fire as well. We're also playing 4 copies of the 2-cost Uninkable Bonsai. He's a 3 strength, 2 willpower vanilla character that quests for 2. It's kind of an aggressive character, right? If you constantly keep questing with him, your opponent's going to have to be forced to probably make an unfair trade, which is kind of interesting. I kind of like this card a lot. I was trying out Baymax in somewhat of a deck like this, but maybe it's just Bonsai to ensure he doesn't land on the board exerted. And we got to talk about Max Goof in this deck, because there isn't really much of an... because it's the only Floodborn combo we have here. We have Max Goof, the Rebellious Teen, followed by Max Goof, the Chart Topper. The 3-cost Rebellious Teen is a 2 strength, 2 willpower character that can quest for 1, but he has an ability that says on play you can pay an extra ink to return a 3-cost or lower song from your discard to your hand. So you're able to do some pretty cool combos. You can have a Lawrence or a Genie on board, you sing Mother Knows Best, you play the Max Goof, you grab back Mother Knows Best, then next turn you have another song to sing. If you're already pretty wide on the board, then you can, play the same song twice, basically, which is pretty strong. We no longer have Ursula Deceiver of All to sing the same song twice, but, if you have enough ink, you can sing Strength of a Raging Fire with Lawrence, play Max Goof, grab back the Strength of a Raging Fire, sing it with another character if you have it, some pretty cool combos there. And then you have the Shift Max Goof. You can shift them with 4 ink. Whenever he quests, you can play a song for free from your discard pile that costs 4 or less. So a lot of different ways to keep using the Strength of a Raging Fire, Mother Knows Best, or Heffalumps and Woozles. And it's funny because there's only a total of 8 songs in the whole deck, right? But you're able to use them more than once from your discard pile. So I think that's what's pretty good here, is that you don't even have to use the Strength of a Raging Fire. You can play cards like Bobby for whatever reason, discard it, and then later on in the game you can shift the Max Goof quest and you get to play the Strength of a Raging Fire from your discard for free. That's kind of broken, no?
Yeah, no Ursula, no problem here. Green Steel tempo song actually sounds better and better the more you talk about it, Kevin. Yeah, being able to bounce back your own Go-Go's, replay them, and gain more lore sounds
You
disgusting.
can bounce back your own dock. You can bounce back your own dog, Zach. There's no snake. There's
Mm-hmm.
no fox. We
Mm-hmm.
were just talking about how hard it is to bounce back your own dock. You could just do it in this deck. You have Mother Knows Best. I love it. JP onto something. Shout out JP for this list. And last but not least, we're going to go over an Amber Steel deck list featuring the Circle of Life. This is a new song being released in Fabled Set 9's an 8 cost action that says Sing Together. It's a very simple card. It's a Sing Together 8 song that simply says play a character from your discard for free. And we have a variety of big characters we can play for free in this deck. I think the main strategy that you want to go for, it's kind of a greedy strategy, but if you pull it off, you're going to win the game. So turn 1, you play Mulan, you draw and discard one of your following bombs. We have Surfer Stitch, Tinkerbell, Aerial Sonic Warrior, or even 3 copies of this John Silver Stern Captain, right? And then turn 2 and turn 3, you can set up some of your singers. You have Ariel or Troubadour, followed by Aurora. Maybe you wait till turn 4 and you play the reprinted Ariel, the 4-cost Singer 7. But the point is, once you set up your singers, you can start seeing Circle of Life and play out your Surfer Stitch way early. And I know a lot of people were talking about this strategy with Big Mickey this, Big Mickey that. I'll be real with you guys. Big Mickey is not it. He's an uninkable 10 cost character. If I'm going to play any uninkable 10 cost card, you best know it's going to be the Mob Song. This card kind of crazy right now when there's no damage removal, right? It's a Sing Together 10 cost song that says deal 3 damage to 3 different characters. Now, one of the issues I've been having is that sometimes 3 damage isn't enough. There's a lot of Genie Wish Fulfilled, a lot of Elsas, right? So in combination with Mob Song, you can use Aerial Sonic Warrior to deal 3 extra damage, or Tinkerbell Giant Fairy. So it's like you deal 4 damage to everybody. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, there's a lot of cooking done with this list, and there's some more singers to talk about. The Aurora Waking Beauty, that's a singer 5, although we don't have any effects that can remove damage from our characters. That is something we can consider and add, like Julieta, just to draw more cards and reuse that ability to sing again. Honestly, we have the Lilo in almost every steel list we've gone over today, and or
Yeah.
maybe just every steel list in period. So it's probably the number one card going into the next meta. I will honestly admit that. But I want to talk about this Jasmine, this fearless princess. She is a 5 cost 3/7 with 2 lore that has 2 different abilities. One of them allows her to be evasive during your turn, and the other one allows you to discard a card to give her Challenger +3 this turn. And that's not limited to just once per turn. You can just discard as many as you need to and give her all the strength in the world to even get rid of like some high willpower locations if you need to. But I really wanted to bring it up because you need some evasive answers into this meta. There's a lot of evasive threats, and Jasmine might be Steel's answer to some of those threats. But you do have more removal in this list than others, and with the synergy with Circle of Life has, being able to replay your big characters for cheap is too good.
I think it's really good. That's kind of why I also like the Jasmine. She allows you to discard other characters that you may want to put in your discard for the Circle of Life, you know? And so oftentimes you might want to set up a Surfer Stitch. I think playing Surfer Stitch out from Circle of Life is just infinitely better than Big Mickey, by the way. And I'm just saying this because there's other Circle of Life decks, you know? But I do think Stitch off of Circle is unfair if you're singing it with 2 characters because you're netting yourself +2 cards. Like in my opinion, and you guys can crucify me for this, but in my opinion, it's much better to just draw 2 cards immediately than to play a giant bodyguard for no reason. And more than likely that giant bodyguard is not going to get you the value you think it is. But, you know, I digress. I think Big Mickey's cool, but imagine bricking on Big Mickey. No, not my favorite. So I really like this strat. I also have Beyond the Horizon in this deck because Beyond the Horizon is kind of a decent card right now with the strat like this. You can sing it. A lot of singers, right? So we're able to take advantage of our high cost songs. But that's going to be all for this Monday Meta Watch video, my Lorcana goons. Thank you so much for watching the whole way through. If you're still here, like, comment, and subscribe because it does support the channel. And not a lot of you are subscribed. I can see the YouTube analytics. Hit that subscribe button. We're going over a lot of decks. The meta's still not established. So, you know, just because you saw some deck lists here that aren't something that you're thinking of, you know, don't get discouraged. In fact, we want to see your deck lists too. So drop it in our Discord. Join the link in the description down below, please. It always helps. Zach Stone, anything you want to say to the people before we let them go?
Yes, guys. And next week's video, we're going to go over deck list from the tournaments that are going to go on in this weekend. I know there's a Southside Gaming one that's got like a 15 case tournament going on, and it's a qualifier for like the invitational they're hosting. So make sure to check them out if you're in the Southern Florida area. And yes, there's also more tournaments that we're going to go over as well. But make sure you stay tuned to Lorcana Goons, and we'll see you Goons next time.